So yeah, welcome to the 2018 State Athletics Coaches Call. It's going to be a good season, a good competition. We're excited for it. We got a really great team lined up on the GMT that are going to put on a fantastic competition for all of you. We have Dylan Ross from Special Olympics Washington. He's going to be the staff support on site. And then we have Susan Greenwood, who is the athletics, the track and field director. And she's got an incredible team. I'll let her introduce her team here in just a little bit. And then we have Samantha Thompson, who is also on the call, and she is our manager of health and wellness, and she's going to be speaking to the performance stations that'll be taking place on Friday evening. So Dylan, do you want to go ahead and just chime in and introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Stephen. Really looking forward to next weekend, everyone, and working with you guys. Really, it's Susan Greenwood and her rock star team that she's put together that's making this all happen. I'm just going to be playing support role and really whatever Susan needs. But I'm looking forward to meeting the coaches that I haven't met and working with the ones that I have. Should be a good weekend.
All right. And Susan, we have you on the call if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and then just kind of the awesome team that you have assembled to help put this on.
Hi, everyone. For all of you longtime coaches, you may not know me by name, but you'll recognize me by sight. I've been a SOA volunteer for 21 years out at the track under the tutelage and mentorship of Ginger. And as most of you know, she is heading up the USA Games. And so she just couldn't do both, and so she retired from the state games, and I wanted to continue all the great work that she had put into place. So I stepped in, and I have some huge shoes to fill, but look to you to help me out and step up as needed or help answer questions as needed. A lot of the volunteers that have been a core part of the group are returning. Our announcers are the same. Long distance running is the same. We've tweaked marshalling a little bit and should be even bigger and better. So lots of great things happening, and I'll go through those later on in the call. But I hope you'll welcome me and my crew, and I look forward to some awesome games, a great weekend.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan. Yeah, we're excited. It's going to be really great. There's been a lot of prep and countless hours going into prepping for this, so it's going to be a great time. Sam, did you want to go ahead and introduce yourself as well?
Hi, everyone. My name's Samantha. I'm the Health and Wellness Manager at SOA, and we've got a couple different health-related things going on at Spring Games that we'll talk about.
Perfect. And just to introduce myself as well, my name is Stephen Opland. I have, for the past 2.5 years, been the East Region Manager of Sports and Competition over there in the farm country. And just recently, I have stepped into the head of state games, and I have been charged with putting on the spring games here. So I'm really excited. It's going to be a great time. There's an incredible GMT that have been doing this for a number of years, and so I've been really leaning on them as this being my first time putting on the state games. And it's incredible, the knowledge and experience that they come with, and like I said earlier, just the countless hours that go into this. They love this. They're all volunteers. Just their hearts and their passion for the athletes, the teams, you as coaches, it's incredible. And just everything that goes into it, they really believe in what they're doing, and they're excited to put on this great and fantastic weekend. So if you see any of the GMT members walking around during state games, definitely show your appreciation to them. They will actually be arriving. Many of them will be arriving Tuesday before the games to get things set up, and then they don't leave until the Monday after the game. So they're there well before, and then they are the last ones to pack up and head out. So it's going to be good. So how the meeting's going to work is I'm going to go ahead and take some time to give you a brief overview as far as the entire weekend goes, as it pertains to checking in, housing, the opening ceremonies, the dance, the activities throughout the weekend, meals, all that fun stuff. So hopefully provide some good clarity. If you haven't been looking through the technical manual, definitely look through that, because that's actually where all the information I'll be going over is listed in that technical manual. And then we're gonna have Susan go ahead and speak more specifically to the track and field competition that's going to be taking place, and all the logistics and details there that you'll need to know. There are some exciting new things that you will be seeing and experiencing at track and field, and I'll let Susan share on those as well. And then we'd also like to open it up for a Q&A sometime. And in that, I apologize, Samantha's also going to be going over, like I said, the performance station that'll be taking place on Friday as part of staging. So it should be good, hopefully a very informative meeting for you. And we are scheduled to wrap the meeting up at about 7:30. So we'll do our very best to keep on schedule, make sure to get you all back to your families and enjoying your evenings. So thank you. I know everybody's been really busy. We appreciate you being on this call. Hopefully it'll be very beneficial for you. So as everybody knows, hopefully you know this already, but track and field will be at PLU, same location as last year. That's also where all the housing will be taking place. All teams will be housed at PLU. The opening ceremonies, the dance will be at Olson Auditorium. And there will be the T-Mobile Olympic Town also in the field house, which is connected to Olson Auditorium. We will be having food trucks listed, or not listed, but placed there in Victory Village, which is kind of right there by Foss Field, as well as Olson Auditorium in that whole stretch. That's where the souvenirs will be placed, and some other resources for you. How it's going to work is on Friday, check-in will begin at 2 p.m. and go till 9 p.m. And that'll be taking place at the CK Hall, same location as last year if you took part in that last year. Teams will be able to go and pick up their coaches packets. That's where all your credentials, the schedules, your final delegation report, all the information you'll need to know for the weekend and have for the weekend will be in that coaches packet. And then from there you can go over to the other side of the room, and that's where you'll be getting your housing assignments if you're a team that will be staying the weekend with us at PLU. They'll give you the keys for the rooms, and each room has a key as well as a key to get into the dorm. Those keys are very expensive, and if they are lost, we do have to pay for each key that is unaccounted for. So please make sure that you get all those keys turned back in. If they are not turned back in, the program and or the area will be charged for those keys. Just so you know, it's a little over $200 per key. So please work with us and make sure that we get those back. We don't want to be paying any more than we have to. As I mentioned, credentials will be in your packets. It is vital that everybody wears your credentials throughout the weekend. There will be a coach, assistant coach, chaperones, athletes, unified partners. And the importance for those is not only will that help them get into the different activities going on, as well as be able to claim their, go to the dinner and get water and what have you, but it's also a very big aspect of safety. We want to make sure everybody's wearing credentials, because if we see somebody that is roaming around and they are causing cause for suspicion, we will be going and approaching that individual, and we want to make sure everybody's remaining safe and everybody that is there has a purpose, and it's a good purpose, obviously. But also, if an athlete or anybody gets misplaced, the credentials have the name and the delegation listed on the back, and then that will help us be able to track down who we need to get them in touch with. So credentials, again, will be there, and you'll get those in your packets. The credentials will be assigned to you based off of your registration that has come in. If any credentials are being missed, we can address that during check-in or at the sports information desk throughout the weekend right there at PLU. which is going to be in front of Olson Auditorium. And that's also where the lunch pickup will be taking place as well, at that same area. For those of you who will not be coming on Friday to check in, you can still pick up your coaches packets at your respective the sports check-in area. So for this call, it'd be the track and field. And you'll be able to pick those up first thing in the morning on Saturday. Any that are not claimed on Friday will be distributing to their specific venues on Saturday morning. So don't worry about that. We got you covered. That being said, if you are not going to be checking in, if you can please communicate with your region manager. That way we can keep track of which teams are coming and which teams won't be coming, so we can just plan accordingly. As far as housing goes, you should all have received, or you will be receiving, your final housing assignments here within the very near future. And those housing assignments are final. And if you do need to make any adjustments within the already allotted rooms that you have, please just let us know what those adjustments are. It's important that we can keep track of those and know where everybody is placed. So if an incident occurs, we have a list and are able to account for everybody. And then any adjustments, alterations, questions for your housing, please direct those to your region manager. When I say adjustments, I don't mean being able to add anybody, but the adjustments are rather, we would like to shift this individual from this room to that room, or we need to remove this individual. So after check-in and all that stuff goes, we will then be rolling into our opening ceremonies and festivities for Friday evening. As I mentioned, that will be located at Olson Auditorium. And we're going to kick it off with what is called our performance station. And I'm going to go ahead and let Samantha share on that. So go ahead, Sam.
All right. So as Stephen mentioned, we're doing the performance station. And the idea behind the performance station is that athletes leave with a better understanding of the connection between their health and their fitness and their athletic performance. And I'm excited to have the performance station as part of the opening ceremonies and staging to kick off the weekend, because I think it really reinforces the idea that this is something that athletes should be considering as they prepare for competition. So when they come to the performance station, sorry, of course there's somebody revving their motorcycle right outside. When they get to the performance station, the athletes will go through a few different stations there. The first being the competition readiness station. And when they get there, the athletes will receive a checklist that goes through the different steps that you should be taking to get ready for your competition, to be prepared, what kind of equipment should you be packing, etc. And then at the hydration station, the athletes will all receive a free water bottle if they go through, and they'll fill up their water bottle right there. And then we'll also have different fruits or things that they can put into their water to infuse them with some flavor. And we do this to show a healthy alternative to things like the sugary drinks like Gatorade and Powerade, or just an easy way to make staying hydrated a little bit more enjoyable. So you don't just have to be drinking plain water all the time. But athletes do seem to really like that station. It's always it's always the busiest, and they really like it. So it's pretty cool. And you get a free water bottle. And then we have the physical activity station as well. And so when athletes get there, they will make sure that they have a warm up and cool down ready to go for their competition that weekend, and volunteers will take them through a few different basic exercises that they could do if they don't already have a plan. And then that's it. It's pretty quick and easy, but still informative, and we definitely keep it fun. So it's a really good opportunity for athletes. Definitely bring them to the performance station, because we want them to focus and maintain on their health, because that'll improve their overall experience as an athlete.
Perfect. Thank you, Sam. And just so everybody knows, the time frame for that will be at 5. It starts at 5 p.m. and will go till 6:30 p.m. Staging is from 6:15 p.m. to 7 p.m. So those athletes and or teams that would like to go to the performance station before going to staging, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. They'll get a stamp on their hand. That way, then when they go back to staging or to actually go to get staged, they can just show that they've already been through performance station. And yeah, are there any questions for Sam regarding the performance station before we move on?
Yes, is it at the same place though where staging is? Is it in the same direction, in the same facility?
Yes. Yep, it'll be part of the staging process. So they will go check in, go through the performance stations, and then from there we take over to staging.
Awesome. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And just so everybody knows, staging and performance stations will be taking place at Foss Field. So same location as last year. Any other questions for the performance station? All right, perfect. Well, thank you, Samantha. Appreciate it. So yeah, it's gonna be good. Definitely make sure that that you send them there and get there in time so that you can be able to go through performance station, get that free water bottle, and as Samantha was saying, start the weekend off right. Start the weekend off with some good education on just all physical activities, and then as well as making sure to get proper hydration. And speaking of hydration, we will have hydration stations placed throughout the venues. So please encourage and tell everybody to bring their own water bottle. That way they can make sure to stay hydrated throughout the weekend and not rely on just the water that will be handed out during lunches. So we're excited to welcome back Bank of America, who are sponsoring and helping us put on the opening ceremonies. It's going to be a great time. They've been doing a lot of planning. They're even going to have a DJ out there playing some music and keeping the atmosphere lively out at the staging area. That way they're not just going and just having to stand in their line with nothing going on. There'll at least be some good music going on and hopefully provide a good, fun time. Again, staging is from 6:15 to 7 p.m. One thing that we are going to be sending out, and I apologize this hasn't been done yet, but be looking for that here this evening, if not first thing tomorrow morning. Actually, first thing tomorrow morning is when it will be sent out. But it'll be the registration for opening ceremonies. It's going to be super easy. It's just going to be a Google survey form that you can just click on and just fill out some pretty basic information, but that will let us know if your team is planning on attending, as well as how many will be with your team, and then who the contact person will be. That way we can be expecting you for the staging process and get you staged correctly within your respective area. And then make sure to get you some good seating. That being said, anybody who does arrive after 6:30 p.m. will not be guaranteed seating. Obviously, we'll still get you in there, and we'll get you into the parade of athletes. You may not be placed in the correct order. That also, if you are planning on attending and you go on and register, that's going to allow us to know who to expect. So that way, if we're getting near that time mark, we can look and see that a team registered, but we haven't seen them, and then we'll have that contact phone that we can call and just get a status update to know where you're at and be able to do what we can to make sure to get you into the correct spot. So make sure we'll be emailing that out. So just be on the lookout for that, and then if you can get your team registered, that would definitely help us out and make sure to get everybody where they need to be. So yeah, staging, and then we'll do the opening ceremonies, which will be from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we'll obviously the parade of athletes will kick us off, and we'll run through that. We got some great speakers lined up. We got some great entertainment that's going to be happening, some presentations from some sponsors, donors, as well as a video that Bank of America is going to be sharing. And then we'll get the games opened up and started off the right way. And we'll keep it. One thing that is we've been hearing during winter games, short and sweet. Everybody liked that. So it's scheduled for 7 to 8, and that way we can get everybody back to their rooms and get some good rest and ready to rock and roll for competition on Saturday and Sunday. So dinner is not provided on Friday night. Dinner is on each team to go get something. But starting Saturday, we will have breakfast, and breakfast will be available for pickup. It's going to be a brown bag, grab-and-go breakfast for teams. That's going to start at 6 a.m. and go to 8 a.m., and that'll be located in the cafeteria commons area at PLU. So teams can wake up, go grab the breakfast. They can eat it there if they like, or take it back to their dorms, or go eat it somewhere outside. Completely up to them. We just ask that everybody can help make sure to keep the campus clean, because we are guests and we want to make sure that we clean up after ourselves and are invited back, and that everything is a good experience for PLU and ourselves. But once they get the breakfast, then they can get ready to rock and roll and go compete. And in a little bit here, I'll have Susan go through how all that's going to work for track and field. So they'll compete for the day on Saturday. We do have, like I said, T-Mobile will be open and running their Olympic Town in Olson Auditorium throughout the weekend. On Saturday, the schedule will be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Sunday it'll be open from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. So while they're not competing, and if they have some available time, they're welcome to go over and check that out. And then again, there'll be food vendors over in Vendor Row, as well as souvenirs and some other information desks that people can go check out and see what they can learn and participate in. Once competition is over on Saturday, then everybody can go and get freshened up, take a shower, wash the sweat and the stink off of them before heading over to Hair Fair, which is 3 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Saturday. That's going to be in room 133 of the Anderson University room, so it's the same room as where dinner will be. It's just going to be on the lower level. And so they can go there if they like. It's going to be great. Same people doing Hair Fair as last year, Debbie and her team. They always do a fantastic job. And then there will also be dinner. Dinner is going to be at PLU. Last year, I know we had multiple venues. This year, though, we're bringing everybody together in the PLU cafeteria commons area, and they'll be having dinner together. We will be splitting it up within 2 shifts. That way we can accommodate everybody. Since track and field is on campus, you will most likely be at the beginning shift. However, we will be looking at each of the schedules for the sports just to make sure that we allow enough time for you to finish competition, go get freshened up, and then head over to dinner. Dinner hours will be from 5 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. That being said, again, we'll be looking at everybody's schedule and putting together a dinner schedule and assigning teams accordingly as far as what would work best for them. As I mentioned, again, everybody will be eating dinner at the same location this year, so that'll be nice. People aren't going to be wondering where to go for dinner. It's going to be a great dinner. PLU, we have some healthy options there. Samantha has been working with PLU to provide some healthy options, which is great. So yeah. And then those family members who were able to register in time will be receiving credentials, and they will be getting an email from us letting them know that they registered in time. Here's where they can pick up their credential. Here's what that credential will allow them to do. Family members can pick up their credentials on Friday, same time, same place as team check-in. If they don't get it Friday, they can go throughout the weekend to the sports information table, which is located right outside of Olson Auditorium, and get their credential there. The reason why I say this is because family members this year, instead of receiving a food voucher, they are rather invited to come have dinner with the teams. Those who did register in time and will receive a credential. So they will need a credential to be able to get into the dinner. So definitely make sure that they know, go get your credential ahead of time. That way they can just go have dinner with the team. Once dinner is done, then everybody can head over to the dance and have a good old time with an 80s themed dance and music being played and rocking out with DJ Shane. DJ Shane is incredible. I love his music. I love him DJ, and he's been doing it for years. He's really good at reading the crowd and just providing a good, fun atmosphere. He's got some things up his sleeve, a few extra things he's going to be bringing, and opportunities for athletes. So it's going to be really cool. I won't give any of it away right now, but it's going to be a good time. And then the dance is from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. During the dance, we will have a more of a quiet area for athletes to be able to go to if they like. It's going to be located in a classroom. They're in the same building as the dance, so they can go over there. Or if they wanted to go back behind the field house, we're going to have a big tent set up with some activities, so they can go participate in some activities out there. Some of the Olympic Town Games will be set up out there. Or they can go do some crafts. There'll be some crafts and arts to be able to do in the main entrance area as well. So there's going to be some good fun stuff to participate in on Saturday. Once everybody is done dancing and really tired out, they can then go and get some really good sleep again, and then wake up for the last day of competition on Sunday. Again, Sunday breakfast is from 6 to 8, same location, same process. Teams will need to check out of their rooms before noon on Sunday, and they will need to turn their keys in. As of right now, they will be checking out at their respective lobby of the dorm that they'll be staying in. And so just make sure that all luggage and everything's moved out of the rooms, keys are turned in to the PLU staff that will be located in your lobby before noon on Sunday. Then once competition is done, then teams can wrap everything up, get on their buses or however you got there, and head on home and go sleep in your own beds and get some sleep. One thing that I forgot to mention too is the lunch process. Lunches will be distributed at the sports information desk in front of Olson Auditorium, same location as last year. Teams, based off the numbers you submitted with your registration, that's how many lunches you will be getting for your teams. We are feeding a lot of people, so please have patience with us if we do not get the lunches there completely on time, or if there's maybe you're missing a few lunches or we're tracking some down. So we always do the best we can, but lunches, when you're feeding over 2,400 people, sometimes a few lunches can get misplaced. But that is where you'll go. The head coach has to be the one to go and pick up the lunches, so please do not be sending individual athletes to go get them. It needs to be the head coach, and they will be picking up the lunches for their entire team. Lunch pickup will begin at 11:30. Let me confirm for track and field here. See if I can find it. Sorry, it's different times for each venue. I should know this by now because I've had meetings the past, 3 evenings so far talking about all this. So about 11. It does say 10:30. Let's be realistic and let's say 11. 11 a.m. is when you can plan to pick them up till 1 p.m. If you don't get your lunches by that 1 p.m. mark, we do have to throw them away because of health codes. We are not allowed to actually hand them out. So please make sure you come get them. If you don't, we're really sorry. We want to be able to feed everybody, but we do have to abide by that. So 1 p.m. is the cutoff time. So 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. On both days is when you'll be able to pick up your lunches at the sports information desk. Oh, let's see, what else is there? I think that about covers it so far. So Susan, before we get into sports specific, are there any questions, comments for the overall weekend information? Oh, one more thing, sorry. Yeah. We do have, I know parking was a big issue last year, just the congestion, we're in a park, what have you. So we have actually arranged a shuttle service thanks to Boeing. They will be having vans that will be going around all the main parking areas, outlying parking areas, and we'll be sending out a route map prior to the games, as well as where the stops will be. And that shuttle service is available to anybody and everybody that have to do with Special Olympics. So family members, volunteers, spectators, teams, they're all welcome to ride those shuttles. And they will be dropping off right there in front of the track and field area, so it'll bring you pretty darn close. We will also have one ADA accessible van that'll be making its loop, and we'll let everyone know where that ADA will be, what loop they'll be driving on. That way you can make sure to park in those respective parking lots and then be able to utilize that shuttle. So that'll be exciting. It's really good. We're really excited for it. It's going to hopefully improve the system and an overall experience for everybody. So yeah, any questions out there?
Yes, for the dinner now. If they didn't register, can they still at the venue?
Who are we talking to about register?
Parents.
No, unfortunately, the family registration has already come and gone, and we're not able to register anymore for that.
Okay. And will there be shoes for the athletes this year?
No, unfortunately, there will not be shoes for the athletes, but we are working with Brooks in hopes to get them for next year.
I have to know.
I have a question, Stephen.
Okay.
About we get to set up our tents. Can we do that Friday night, or do we have to wait and do that Saturday on the field where we have Tent City?
I'm going to go ahead and let Susan answer that one.
You will be able to set up your tents, your team area, beginning, I'd say maybe 10 or noon on Friday. Let's say noon on Friday. And I'm changing the name to Athletics Team Village, because I don't like the term tent city. So ATV, Athletics Team Village. And we'll have it kind of marked off in little segments so that we keep walkways clear. So we'll have that done. I'll say by noon Friday, we'll have that done and open up to putting up tents.
Okay, so we can do that like maybe after opening ceremonies or before opening ceremonies?
Yeah, after 12 noon on Friday. So
Okay.
If you arrive early on campus, come on out. I may put you to work taping the track too, so be careful.
So what you're saying, Susan, is there may be a fee involved with early setup.
Yes, no. But no, after 12 noon on Friday, if you're on campus early and before you check in or do opening ceremonies, you're welcome to come out to the Athletics Team Village grassy area. There'll be segments, I'm sure, painted on the grass so you know where to set up your camp and not be parked in the walkway. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other questions out there?
I have a question about showering for teams that are outside the 60 miles or inside the 60 miles.
Yes. Yeah, so that's something that we have requested from PLU to be able to utilize their locker rooms. To be honest, I am still working with them on that to get that solidified. If we do not get the locker rooms, we will have some restrooms. We will not specify which dorm would be available for females and then which dorm for males to be able to go into and shower. I know last year there was some concerns not concerns, but problems with the dorms are locked without a key. So we will address that issue and make sure that we have those open and readily available for those teams. So we are working on that, and we will be notifying everybody prior, but be planning on some showers being available for your teams if you're not being housed there.
Okay, and then will you guys be having more seating for opening ceremonies this year?
The seating arrangements will be the same. Unfortunately, we're not able to put any more in there. We already are at max capacity for seating, but that's why it'll be important for teams to be able to register ahead of time so we can make sure to get you listed and get you seated on the floor.
We did that last year.
On the chairs and on the floor.
We registered last year, and we were seated in the bleachers with all the bystanders, and it definitely took away from the experience.
Yeah, we don't want that. We're going to do everything we can to get teams seated on the gym floor. That being said, obviously we can't really fight the numbers, so if we do have a lot attend, which we hope, we're going to do whatever we can to get everybody in while it's still abiding by the fire code, the infamous fire code, and not breaking any rules there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
On the rooming, Stephen, I'm kind of curious. Is the rooms like in Hinderley Hall? Is the room number 144? Is it the first floor?
Yes, that should be the first floor. And if you specified that you needed an ADA room or easier accessible room, we looked at all those and we either placed you on the first floor or in a dorm that has an elevator.
Okay, because what happened that you swapped Emily and Lori with Tish and I. So Tish and I should be in 144A and 144B.
Yeah, so we can definitely follow up with me offline on that, and we can make sure we have you arranged correctly.
Okay, because I was kind of curious about that. Anyway, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question, Stephen. What about track passes? How will we know when we will receive them or if they've been approved?
I'll talk about that as part of my list here in a minute.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
So stay tuned.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions here? And I don't see any in the chat. Just so, and I appreciate this, bringing this up. So information has been posted on the webpage. So definitely be keeping an eye on that. Not only on the coach's webpage, that's where we're posting more of the sensitive material, delegation reports that have birthdays and all that. We don't want that just floating around on the internet. So it's been posted on the coach's webpage that's protected by a password that we've provided to you. There's information there, but then also the general state games webpage. We've posted schedules there, the venue layouts. Susan has put together some great material that we've been posting. And so continue to keep an eye on that as we develop more and more material. You'll see more and more of that going up on the webpage. Any other questions for the overall weekend? If not, we can dive into sport specific.
Yeah, real quick, Stephen. Are coaches allowed to pick up family credentials for the dinner on Saturday night?
Yes, yeah. If the head coach and the family member has registered ahead of time and they're with your team, yeah, you can go ahead and pick that up for them.
Perfect, thank you.
Can the assistant coach pick up the lunches too?
Yeah. The assistant, we understand that there's some challenges with, obviously, a head coach might be busy, preoccupied. So as long as one of the coaches comes, just keep in mind that you will have to be taking all of that with you.
Okay.
But yeah, you can't just come and grab a few of them. If the team comes and picks up lunches, they need to take all of the lunches with them. It's too hard to try to keep track of just a few here and there. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I have another question too, Stephen, about the track passes. I don't know if you come up to that yet.
Not yet.
Are they gonna have escorts for like one-on-ones?
Yeah, we'll get to that. Susan's going to be going over all that stuff in just a little bit here.
Okay.
Yep. All right, and real quick on base access, you're all competing at PLU, but I just want to put it out there. If you did submit for base access, you will be receiving the base access form by the end of the week is what JBLM is telling us. So just put that out there on the radar. Any other questions? Okay. Well, if you have any questions, feel free at the end of the meeting, and if we have some time, we can kind of loop back around. But you can also shoot me an email or communicate with your region manager too, and we'd be more than happy to address any questions or comments you may have. So now I would like to go ahead and pass it over to Susan to talk on athletics, the specifics and logistics there, and just how everything's going to flow. So go ahead, Susan.
Well, thank you, Stephen. I have a lot to cover in 15 minutes, so I'll try and be quick. But Stephen, going back to the new shuttle van service that's being offered, am I correct in remembering that for those that have handicap parking, the entire parking lot at Olson's is being dedicated for ADA parking? Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so coaches, be sure to look at the technical manual or wherever that's going to be posted with the map. That's the big lot directly across from the entrance to the track area. So keep that in mind too as well. But let's see. So I have a lot to go over. I hope to keep it in somewhat of sensible order. Going back to your Friday check-in, when you pick up your coaches packets, it is vitally important for you all to turn in any bibs on athletes that you know will not be competing. Our team congregates there at that same time. Maybe you might remember from JBLM days. Our team is there for scratch night. We go through every single heat book that we have, making a line through the pre-printed heat sheets so that we know if Sally Sue is not going to be there, we know that in advance, and we can move the heat ahead and not wait for the final call. We know that, okay, everyone's here, that's expected, let's move on. So please be sure to turn in your scratches, the bibs, Friday night. In regards to coaches packets, Stephen had said if you are not at the check-in Friday night, I will have remaining coaches packets at the coaches meeting at 7:15 a.m. Saturday morning in awards. And if you're still not at the coaches meeting and I have any leftovers, I will then take them to the athletics information tent, which is over by marshalling, not the sports information tent across at Olson, but our specific info tent. So coaches packets, if you don't pick them up at check-in, then they'll be at the coaches meeting, then on to the info tent. Okay, so last year it was kind of an afterthought, but this year we are planning on it. The west side of the track, and Stephen alluded to all the maps that are being posted on the technical manual and the website. The west side of the track on Saturday will be dedicated to the wheelchair, assisted walk, and guided race events. That will put those athletes so much closer to their athlete tents and competing right there and going on the awards directly. They won't have to baja halfway across the track to get to the lanes or anything like that. So I know it happened as an afterthought last year. This year we are planning on it. So we're also planning on what I'm calling an auxiliary marshalling tent. Right at the entrance to the main marshalling area, this is a 15 by 15 foot awning dedicated to those wheelchair assisted walk, and guided racers to check in there instead of going in to the main marshalling area. So it's going to be right off that paved walkway in the very front. We'll have marshal volunteers right there checking them in, and then it's just a, I don't know what, 2 foot transfer over to the track, and there they'll be competing right there. So hopefully making it a lot easier for your athletes there. And we'll see if it's not big enough. If that tent's not big enough, we'll make it bigger next year. But I have a feeling this is going to be a good thing to have. And then we're also pre-planning a second post-race staging. Post-race staging, as you know, is where athletes, upon completion of their heats or flight, their events, they go get a little drink of water, get rehydrated, get their sweats back on, and await the final scoring sheets before they move on to awards. So there'll be one on the main infield for the events taking place on the east side that are using the true finish line, and there'll be a second post-race staging for the west side of the track and the field events. So the one on the track's being labeled post-race staging A, the other one's post-race staging B. Just trying to get everyone their hydration, get their sweats back on, and process onto awards as quick as possible. In regards to the east and west side of the track, even though there will be a 50-meter start line on the west side of the track, on Sunday for the 50-meter walk and 50-meter runs, I'm still going to run it on the east side, on the true side, finishing on the true finish line, just because at the same time as the 50-meter walks and runs are occurring, standing and running long jump are taking place on the west side of the infield. So just trying to give the long jumpers their day in the sun and not gum up that end of the track. So just, or that side of the track. Let's see here, going through my little list. And Stephen and Dylan, I don't know, have you already sent out the preliminary list of what athletes are in which heats and all that good stuff?
No, we have not sent that out. We sent out the delegation reports for review, but we will be finalizing that and sending that out by Monday. Okay. Is when those are scheduled to go out to everybody.
Then disregard. I found that we had skipped the division and we're going to renumber it, so never mind.
All right, yeah, we'll get that fixed and solidified before sending those out.
Okay, on the 200-meter walk and run, I cannot have any whistle starts. I know when I was doing the Southwest Regionals, there was a lot of issues or complaints while we were out at the start line, but once I explained and had the starter, the head official, move further around the corner and use the gun, 99% of the athletes were just fine, didn't even notice that it was a gun start. The reason I need a gun start on the 200-meter is I need to have the timers see the smoke. It is too far away for them to go by the whistle. So I will make sure that the starter is staged as far away as he can. And I know some teams will like to set up their camp right there on the outside curve of the 200. I'm going to go ahead and mark the flagging there saying, if you're sensitive to gun starts, this is not the area to sit. This is a starting area on Sunday. So, you know, it really, whether they cover their ears and you need a volunteer to tap them on the shoulder, I can do that, but I really need the timers to be able to see the smoke. And like I said, when we did it at Southwest, there was only one athlete out of, I think, 20 that wanted it that had a problem. And so please understand the reasoning behind that. I'm trying to make it as easy for the athletes as possible too that are sensitive to it. Let's see here. You were talking, Stephen, about finishing in time, or finish time for Saturday to go to hair fair and the dance and then dinner and all that good stuff. If everything goes according to plan, I hope to be finished by 3:45, 4 o'clock on Saturday. So hopefully that gives teams and athletes sufficient time to get cleaned up and ready to rock and roll. I'm jealous. I'll be so exhausted I won't be able to go to the dance, but that's my time period. I'd love to go to that. Let's see here. Track pass applications. I know there were all sorts of questions about that, so bear with me. I'm going to go through the who I have received. If you don't hear your team name, there's still time. I'd rather deal with it now than last minute. So I have applications from Tahoma Bears, Thurston County Fast and Furious, Auburn Park Striders, BCAT Mighty Cats, or BCATs, Kellam County Orcas, Eagles of Running Eagles of Seattle, Edmonds Independence, the updated form, Grays Harbor Hawks, JBLM Tigers, Kent Park Sprinters, Marysville Bigfoot, Metro Parks Panthers, Moses Lake, North Sound Stars, Seattle Park Sharks, and Sound Athletics, one more, T-Town Throwdown. If you did not hear your team name and you need track applications, please send them to Dylan and he will get them to me. In regards to the
I have a question. I didn't hear Twin Rivers.
What was the first part? What town?
Twin Rivers, Clarkston.
No, I did not receive one, so please, that's why I'm reading it off. I'd rather we do it after the deadline than have to do it Saturday morning at the track. So please go ahead and send that in to Dylan and he'll make sure he gets it to me.
Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you receive one for a solo dream team?
No.
Okay. I will get with Grant. Thank you.
Okay. Any others? Okay. So in regards to if you've been approved, there will be some questions. I'll get with Dylan and actually, if you all have pen and paper, could you take down an email? My contact email is athletics.sowa@gmail.com. Athletics plural .sowa@gmail.com. I was going to reach out to some of you, but the list of coaches that I have does not correspond with the list of the named coach on the application that I have. The reason I want to reach out is some of you are asking for one-on-one escorts, and those are volunteers that I can assign to help get your athlete from point A to point B, whereas track passes are geared for the coach, for the guided walk or race partner, for the escort, for any court-ordered companion, that type of thing. So there's some of you that asked for one-on-one when it really, I think, should be a track pass, and some of you put medical reasons as to why it should be a one-on-one. Well, I really don't want to put a one-on-one volunteer responsible for noticing a seizure in your athlete. I'd rather have a parent, a coach, a chaperone that knows that athlete. So there might be more track passes awarded than previously. than what Ginger has done in the past. I just feel more comfortable having a coach or chaperone. So for the following teams, could you use that email and send me an email so I know how to get a hold of you? Tahoma Bears. Auburn Parks, BCAT, Clallam County, Running Eagles, Grays Harbor, JBLM, Marysville, Metro Parks, Moses Lake, Seattle Parks, Sound Athletics, and T-Town. Could you all shoot, just say, hey, this is so-and-so from T-Town, or whatever your team is, you had a question. That way I know how to get a hold of you. Because like I said, I started working on it, and the team coaches weren't matching the team emails I had. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, is just confirming if a track pass would be more appropriate, or maybe a one-on-one would be more appropriate. But as far as I'm concerned, if you turned in the paperwork, you will get either a track pass or a one-on-one. And I can always follow up with you sooner rather than later if you had any questions on that. Okay, contentions, going on the one-on-one thought. Contentions. So I went into the state office last week and worked with Dylan and got the preliminary consolidated heat sheets and took some time to look at it already to see which athletes are going to be assigned a one-on-one volunteer to make sure that they're able to compete in both. That, as you know, track events take precedence over field events, and if there is a slightest bit of close call to see if, you know, they might not get through awards in time, or might need a little extra nudge to get them to the start line or marshaling, I've noted where the time in between one event and the other is close. And I created a list. If you're interested to see that list, I'm more than happy to share it. I'm going to have one-on-one volunteers. Keep an eye on the calls on the event boards and whatnot to see if indeed they need to go get Sally Sue from softball Division II in order to go compete in the wheelchair obstacle or whatever. So I've already taken a look at that. I have a general idea. I will have one-on-one volunteers at the ready to pounce at a moment's notice. So trying to do preventative or proactive timing on that. There's just some things I couldn't change with all the wheelchair and assisted walk and guided walks and so many things happening on Saturday, and those athletes competing in a lot of the same softball and tennis ball. It's just, I can't move the schedule. So we'll just make sure those athletes compete and get awarded, and don't miss out on anything. If it's again, the ruling is if it is the game's fault that they miss the event, we will have the athlete compete, and we will score it accordingly in the heat that they would have competed. If it is the team's fault or the athlete's fault or anything that, you know, they miss the pass or miss the call or anything like that, I cannot have the athlete compete, you know, do a redo. No mulligans for that. If it's our fault, yes. If it's for some other reason they wanted to finish their lunch or were practicing their dance moves for the dance, Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't do that. In regards to the calls, now we're getting to the fun stuff. Now that all the nitty-gritty's taken care of, I think now on to the fun stuff. The most exciting thing I have is if any of you are familiar with like the winter games, I know at Alpine had it. I don't know, it's been a couple of years since I've been at winter games. But athletics is getting a Jumbotron, and I am so excited about that I talked with the technical guy. I don't know what his true title is, so I'm going to call him the tech guy to figure out what the capability of the Jumbotron is. And the first and foremost, we will have the call list up on the big screen. So the male 200-meter dash, heats 1 through 3, first call, second call, whatever. All of that is going to be up on the Jumbotron facing Athletics Team Village. And so I'm excited about that. It may be a camera on the actual board, or if I get some more caffeine in me in the next week, I will design a spreadsheet that the tech guy can feed the calls in, and it will look a little more professional. It will be text up on the part of the screen. Also part of the Jumbotron, I am having the awards. One of the cameramen will be at awards, and there will be one segment of the screen dedicated to awards. And there's going to be, if you saw my kitchen right here, you'd see the laminating machine. I'm laminating little signs that for the viewers playing at home, for people on watching the Jumbotron, and for the cameraman, he can zoom in and it will say 200-meter dash female division 04 or whatever. So people will know who is up on the award stand. I'm also using those same signs at the start line and at the field events, those same division numbers and things like that, because there'll be a second cameraman roving, filming the starts, filming athletes participating in the shot put and the softball throw and the long distance running. That cameraman's going to be roaming all around getting a part of the action, and to be able to zoom in and see Billy from flight 33 of the shot put, that's him, perfect. So exciting things there. This will be our first year out on the track. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it works and then I don't kill my laminating machine working on it. So exciting news there. Also part of the athlete and spectator experience, PLU, the coach, has graciously agreed for us to use their performance boards. And these are used for field events to mark the distance that the athlete threw or jumped. So each softball vector, mini javelin, and shot put, there will be a volunteer playing Vanna White putting up the performance. So if you or the athlete's parents are not able to, or if you're across the way and want to see what that athlete threw, then it'll be on the performance board, and then I'll have the volunteer kind of slowly rotated around if you happen to be on a different part of the track. So something new and exciting. As a former competitor, as a field event competitor, I'm excited to have that. Ginger and I have been trying for years to get that done, and we're finally making it happen. One other exciting thing that I have planned, right now, my talking is somewhat limited and may hopefully not be too garbled, but I am 4 months post major surgery for skin cancer on my upper lip and mouth. And so I'll try not, don't get too close to me if you're talking with me, because I may end up spitting on you. But I am excited. We will be offering, in partnership with Samantha and the Health and Wellness team that she has, I am hosting a sun safety booth on the grassy area there between marshalling and athletics team village. My personal dermatologist will be there. She can't give exams right there, but if you're in the area, of course her information, she's going to make it available. But in years past, we've had sunscreen available for athletes and spectators. If you happen to forget yours, you can stop by the sun safety tent and make sure someone accompanies the athlete if they need help, because we cannot apply the sunscreen to your athlete or to you, but we'll have the sunscreen and handy wipes and paper towels available. There will also be information on sun safety. Something I told my dermatologist I would be the new poster child for sunscreen and sun safety, and this is a good start. Also part of that tent, I received great news, a generous donation of what are called UV indicator stickers, and these are stickers, I want to say like the size of a garage sale dot, those file markers, those type of things, that you and your athletes can stop by the sun safety tent, get one sticker per day until supplies last. You put the sticker on, and then you apply your sunscreen over, on your arms and legs and face and whatnot. And you put it over the sticker, and the sticker will turn color when it's time to reapply sunscreen. So a great tool, not only for me that should know better, but for those that are not as familiar with UV risk, especially in Washington. Washington is in the top 10 of cancer instances, skin cancer, because people when the sun's out, we know we should put sunscreen on. Not as many people are familiar with UV on cloudy and overcast days, which is a good part of the Washington weather. So I'm excited for not only the sun safety tent, my dermatologist, but also the UV stickers. I'm getting towards the end here. I'm going to, following up on the water bottles that are being issued at opening ceremonies, I'm going to work with support services, and maybe would it be helpful to have some like masking tape and Sharpies so that we can put the athletes' names on the water bottles, maybe have that available at the water refill stations. Just a thought. I will work with the team on that, work with Stephen and others on that one. Another exciting thing that we're working on, if you've been with the Special Olympics for years, at JBLM, athletics hosted the Cauldron. Well, last year it just didn't make it from opening ceremonies out to the track. I'm working with support services to make sure that that comes back, that we'll have the Cauldron back on the athletics venue. I'm also working to see if maybe we can have it behind awards. So when they're up on the award stand, that makes for a great background. I don't know. We'll probably won't know that until we're there setting up next week. And speaking of backdrops, we're also working on, a place for photo ops, auxiliary, I guess it is, a 1, 2, and 3 award stand off to the side, after athlete pickup, with a backdrop that athletes can take selfies and pictures and whatnot there. So I'm looking at my list here. I think that's all I have. I will go ahead and open it up for questions.
I have a quick question. Can you repeat your email? I just sent you one at the one that I thought I was given and it went out wrong.
Okay. I got an email from Michelle Fitzgerald and Jamie Werner. My email is athletics, ATHLETICS .SOWA@gmail.com.
So there's no at SOA.
No, it's athletics.soa@gmail.com.
Gmail.com.
Yeah. I feel like I work for SOA, but no, I'm a volunteer. So
it's athletics.soa@gmail.com.
Perfect.
And I went ahead and I typed it up and put it in the chat box, so you all can access it there.
Okay, and then another question. So the ADA parking, will there be signs stating that it's all ADA parking, and once that gets filled, will there be more ADA parking?
Yes, there will definitely be signs marking where the ADA parking will be located.
Okay.
And I highly doubt it's going to
get.
get filled up because it's a pretty big parking lot. So.
Okay. Okay, good. I'm sure with a lot of athletes.
Okay. Yeah. We'll definitely be
So
for that.
okay, so on the track, going back to the track passes, I need to go through Grant with that, send the email to him, and he'll forward it to you guys for the Twin Rivers Lightning Bolt.
No, send it to Dylan.
Who?
Yeah, so Dylan is the support staff for track and field. I would say go ahead and send it to Grant and myself, and then if you have Dylan, send it to him as well. So I'll just put us all on the same email.
Okay.
And I will confirm that I received it. It looks like, is it Janine? I'm trying to read on the, or Jenny?
It's Jeannie.
Jeannie O'Farrell.
Jeannie,
I'll keep an eye.
Correct.
I'll keep an eye out for it.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Susan, it looks like we had a question come in regarding if individuals or teams need to bring their own shot puts and or javelins.
Stephen, I don't know. I know, boy, I know there is a need to replace the shot puts. Stephen, I don't know if we'll have time to do that this year or finances, but we certainly need to do that for next year.
Okay, so I would say that teams, if it's not inconvenient, definitely bring them just in case.
Yeah,
I know we will have many javelins taken care of. We just purchased some new ones, so that'll be good to go. But as far as shot puts go, if you have some nice shot puts, never hurts to bring them just as backups in case.
Yeah, and I'll have I'll figure out a little paint dauber or something. A lot of the shots that the state office has are in English, are in pounds, and they need to be in metric. So I will work on that. And if you have metric ones that you're willing to let us borrow, feel free to bring them. Next year, I hope we'll get this, we'll have all new ones maybe next year. I'll go turn in some aluminum cans if need be, but if you have metric ones that you're willing to let us borrow, feel free to bring them.
Perfect. We had another question that came in. I'll go ahead and just read it off. This is from Troy. It says, where does the 1,500 meter run start? Do they marshal like the other races? Seems like they run a different course and not around the track.
Correct. So the longest event on the track is the 800 meter. The next length after that is the 1,500 or 1.5, and those are off track just south of the track on the formerly known as golf course. And they will, when we call for them to assemble, I'm going to initially say the auxiliary marshalling tent that we're using there by the entrance for main marshalling. I'm going to say we're going to use that as a general area instead of going all the way through marshalling, but that may change, so be sure to listen for calls. If we do change it, we'll put them in with the main marshalling, but since the auxiliary tent is so much closer, you know, all right, 50 feet closer to the start for the 1,500 and all the long distance ones, might as well try it at the auxiliary. So let's start at auxiliary. If we need to change it, listen for the calls.
Susan, I had a question. I have a lot of long distance runners out on that golf course. Last year, there was some real issues. My athletes came back saying there was beer bottles on it and, you know, things like that. I was wondering, is there going to be a sweep to make it a little safer prior to the events going out? They said it looked like some college kids had had a party the night before and, you know, strewn stuff all over. I'm just a little more concerned about, you know, the safety of what might be tripped on or something out there.
Okay, Peggy, I hadn't heard about that. I will make sure that we do have a sweep for garbage and debris and things like that. We marked the track, I think it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday last year, and so who knows what happened in between, but I'll make sure our long distance crew takes a look-see. I do know that for a different side of safety, if we get a deluge of rain or constant rain or anything like that, some of that grass in the hills might become muddy or slippery, and I know a lot of your athletes probably don't wear spikes, and you know, so if we need to move it for safety due to rain and mud, we've secured, is it the middle school right next door?
Correct.
Stephen?
Yeah, Keith Lee Middle School.
So we have that as a backup, and we can shuttle the athletes over there if need be. But so I have taken that part of safety into account. I'll make sure we do a safety sweep for garbage and debris as well. Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
All right, and then one question that came in, it's not track related, but yes, we are working on providing more food trucks for this year. This came in from Angela. And yes, as well as healthier options. I know that that was another pressure point last year. Lines were forming and the selection wasn't the best. So we have been working very diligently at getting more food trucks and more options available. Do we have?
And will that be,
oh, go ahead.
Stephen, will those be ready Friday night at opening ceremony?
So that is a great question. I believe, yes, we have worked with them to come in on Friday, so that way they'll be ready to rock and roll.
eat dinner?
Possibly for dinner, yes.
Okay.
Also from Angela, yes, we've been working with support services on the signage. Last year, that being our first year at the venue, was a great opportunity for us to learn where signage needed to be. So we are working hard at ordering more signage and making sure everything is marked more clearly for everybody. And that's all we have on the chat box so far. Any other questions for us before we log off? I know we went a little bit over. I apologize. I talked too much. I apologize.
Well, I did too. Sorry.
Any other questions out there? All right.
I sent you an email too. I just want to let you know.
Is this Jessica from North Sound or North something?
North Sound Stars, it is.
Yep, you came through.
Okay, thank you.
And if I didn't get an email and I have a question, I'll hunt you down somehow. Either Dylan or Stephen, I'll figure out how to reach out to you. It's just wanted to confirm if a track pass would be better versus a one-on-one or vice versa. And in regards to volunteers, we are still recruiting for volunteers. So if you know of others that would like to be a part of it, you know, co-workers, members of your faith community, gym buddies, whoever, registration is still happening there. So we want to make this as successful as an event as we can, and we need all the volunteers we can to do that. So help us recruit, please.
All right, perfect. And yes, Jeremy and Danny, definitely we will be following up prior to where teams that are not staying at PLU will be able to freshen up and shower after competition. So we'll make sure to get that solidified out for everyone. Okay, well, I think that about does it. One other thing, Susan, I apologize if you mentioned this. I don't recall hearing. Yeah, not only are we doing the big screen, but we have also beefed up the PA system around in that area. So both visually and audio, everything hopefully will be coming through more clear, and teams will be able to hear and see what's going on. So it's good. We've really been able to make a good improvement in that area.
And feel free, you all have my email. I may be opening myself to a big can of worms, but feel free to email me with questions. I'd rather answer them ahead of time and know your concerns than try and solve it at the last minute.
Okay, Susan, again, that email is athletic@gmail.com.
Correct. And yeah, athletics.soa@gmail.com.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you everybody so much. And again, like Susan was saying, any questions, comments, concerns, definitely don't hesitate to reach out. That's what we're here for. We want everybody to go into the weekend feeling prepared, and we want it to be successful. And the only way we can do that is when everybody's on the same page. And now that being said, it is a big tournament. Many of us have done this before, so be flexible, be willing to work with us. If we have to pull some audibles, track and field especially, there's a lot of logistics, a lot of moving parts. So we appreciate everybody's willingness to work with us and your patience. But again, we have a great GMT and a great crew putting it on, and they're going to do everything within their power to make sure everything runs smoothly and as efficiently as possible, and make sure everybody has a great experience. As a reminder, everybody, we are this state competition is run by volunteers, and we also know you yourselves are volunteers. So we are very protective of our volunteers. We want to make sure everybody has a good experience, both you coaches who have been doing this for a long time, as well as our day of volunteers. So any concerns throughout the weekend, make sure you direct them to the respective people, direct them to Dylan, the support staff on site. That way we can make sure to address it, keep everything running smoothly and efficiently, and allow everybody to have a positive experience. So Thank you again to everybody for everything that you've been doing, all of your hard work this season. We really appreciate it. It's going to be a great competition. Thank you again to Susan and her incredible team that have been putting this on and working hard at making this all happen. We will be posting the recording on the coaches resource page, the state game page. So be looking for that. And we look forward to seeing everybody next weekend. Have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, Stephen.
Good night.